videoing?
Yes.
Welcome
Get off!
to the Baker and Bears podcast, episode 23.
Look at under my coat, watch.
Time tea.
It's starting to
Oh
rain.
my goodness.
There's a cat around our camera
Get off!
woman's legs.
Yak. Yeks.
It's the wrong way around, I need to drink. Look at that! This is a left-handed cup because my name. It smells like cat wee though.
Well, cats cut a weed on my shoes, honey. Penhook and Needles have baby beds, but we have lift.
Well, I just have to have a little nibble of something about 10:30.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just get some Febreze because that's really strongly smelly. I think it's actually snowing.
Just forget it. Oh, that's nice.
Look at my stupid hair.
I like that. Well, it's welcome to episode 23. And it looks like I'm stood on stilts. I'm really not. I'm just stood up and Kay stood next to me.
This is just how tall he is.
Yeah, I need to drop in height slightly.
And I'm squinting, sorry, because it's very bright. We've just said
It really
haven't we?
is, isn't it? No, I can't do that.
It feels really bright.
It's going to be strange filming because our cameraman... Oh no, that's better. Is it?
Well, yes, I suppose.
And can we walk slightly with that as well?
Can we walk?
Yes, we can.
We look absolutely demented.
Why do we look demented?
If anybody sees us.
But nobody will, because we're cool. Welcome to Favourite Places to Knit. And we're going back to the Abbeys. And we thought it was a good time to go back to the Abbeys because it was around this time when we were planning our very first podcast a year ago.
Yeah, it was.
And our podcast anniversary, is that what it's called?
Podiversary,
Sorry.
apparently, that's what people call
And
it.
who named it that?
I don't know.
Well, our podiversary, is that right?
Podiversary, yeah.
Okay. Our podiversary is on May the 8th.
May the 8th.
And there'll be more about that later on in the episode, won't there?
There will.
Some very exciting little bits of news. But for now, though, it's time to explore Egleston. And why do we like Egleston?
Oh, stupid hair. Sorry.
She's doing a Denise.
That's a bit like
Why do we like Egleston Abbey?
Why do we like it? It's quiet normally. Oh, I'm going off short. I'm
That's
gonna
all right.
I'm gonna have to hug you like that
Don't worry.
and walk really weirdly.
So just stop for a second.
We're down by the river, aren't we?
We are.
It's just really it's one of these places. It's a bit like Jervo, isn't it?
Yes.
It's very peaceful.
It's very peaceful, and I think what excited us was when we found it. It was like it was this hidden little thing that no one else was there, and now it's different to the other abbeys we've been to because it's called. I think it's pre-monasterian they call it.
Right.
So what that means is the guys who lived there, they weren't actually called monks; they were called canons,
Right.
and they used to wear white robes. And they were called the White Canons.
Oh.
And they were different to other monasteries because these guys actually went out into the communities and they sort of had parish churches. So they would go out and they would deal with different areas, and whereas other monks were held within the boundaries, these guys were allowed to go out and about. So let's go and have a little look around the church and the abbey buildings. Egleston Abbey was founded in 1170, not long after the Battle of Hastings. Now, the pre-monasterian monks, or canons, that founded the abbey wanted to find somewhere tranquil, quiet, and perfect to build their abbey, and here it is, set on the banks of the Tees. Now, they followed a similar code of austerity to the Cistercian monks who we met at Jervo, Fountains and Bylands. But they differed in that the members of their order were canons, so they were permitted and in fact spent most of their time working within their communities. Egleston Abbey though was really poor and sometimes even struggled to uphold its full complement of canons, which was only 12. The church we see today was enlarged around 1270. It follows the usual cruciform shape. In fact, the layout of the whole abbey is very similar to those that we've seen before. There's one big exception, and we'll come to that in part 2. Life at the church sounds so familiar to how you and I sometimes are even today. In 1478 they were honoured to receive a visit from their superior, Bishop Redman, but he was shocked to find that the canons were late in rising for work, and that silence wasn't properly observed. I can really associate with that. Now, what you find at Egleston is, like in all the abbeys that we've visited so far, you get a cloister. And I really like to sort of stop and imagine what went on around the cloisters. Do you remember what used to go on around the cloisters?
I wasn't around then, I'm not that old.
Well, they would use it as an area to contemplate and to think about God. And
I'd like a cloister.
Yeah, so would I actually. We're actually, in the next couple of episodes, we're going to go to a great place called Mount Grace Priory. And there they have actually rebuilt one of the little houses that the monks used to live in. And that we can really look forward to that. That gives you a real feel of how cloisters used to work and what used to go on in there. But there was a murder at Egleston. 2 monks got into a dispute, and whilst the other one was never actually convicted, he was sent away because I think it's what they would call manslaughter now.
Right.
But I just like to imagine what do they call the leader of the monastery? The abbot.
Okay.
The abbot walking around the cloister. His name was William Westerdale, trying to decide what to do with these 2 monks who'd accidentally killed each other. Well, one had killed the other. Not good. The abbey buildings were definitely a place of contemplation and of study and a really calming place to be. I'm always drawn to them, to be honest, as is Kay. Now, the abbey buildings here saw some real excitement in the course of their life, even when it was a monastery. In 1346, the English army camped there on the way to the Battle of Neville Cross, which was against the Scots. But in 1497, as we already referred to, 2 monks got into a quarrel, and I think we have to remember at that time, outside of the abbey, quarrels would regularly end in bloodshed, and this is the one and only time that I'm aware of this happening actually within an abbey's walls. So The Abbey buildings, tremendous place to be and to look around, and you can really feel the atmosphere and what went on in them. You can just imagine walking up here though, can't you? Was William Westerdale, the abbot of Egleston Abbey. Two of your canons have just got into the fight. One of them was killed, and you're walking up here and you're pondering, what are you going to do with that other canon? You can really feel and sense history. I just love it. Boom. Did I get it? Did I get you? I won't know until I look back.
Well, I jumped, I think.
I've got to say, I do love abbeys.
Yes, we love abbeys, don't we?
And we've maybe spoken about before as to why. Do you have a recollection of why?
I feel like you're going to tell me off if I don't remember.
No.
I don't remember why.
Well, that's good then. Maybe we haven't really spoken about it too much.
Is it something to do with fountains?
No. Why is it that... Do you feel a natural sort of affinity to abbeys?
Yeah, because of our English history. Is it something to do? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's like I'm on a quiz show or something. Right. I like going there. I find them peaceful, relaxing places, and I like thinking about the history and what people used to do there. And I don't know, if that's a valid reason, but that's why I like. And they're nice for picnics.
Yeah. Do you think the peaceful and relaxing bit actually is the really key thing that you just said there?
Yeah, probably, because of, I guess before the dissolution, when everything went wrong, they must have been very peaceful places to live.
Well, I think what's
quite a hard way of life, I think, but peaceful nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that that peaceful and relaxing does hit the nail on the head. These guys were walking through parts of the country that didn't have an awful lot going on in them, and they were looking for peaceful and relaxing places because that's what they needed, didn't they? To
Is that the answer to your question, though?
Why
do you have an affinity?
I have no answer.
Oh, you have no answer?
I'm not looking for an answer. I was asking you.
I thought you were going to give me some amazing answer as to why we felt an affinity.
I can tell you why I have an affinity.
I thought there was like a reason in our history, me and you history, as to why. I thought it was like a romantic thing.
Actually.
No, you're going to make something up now.
I'm totally not going to make something up.
You are going to make something up now.
Remember the walk in Fountains Abbey? Very, very early on in our relationship.
Where we got wet?
Where we got trapped in the rain.
Yeah.
And we had to run through.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Actually, it's obvious. Well, we spent a high proportion of our pre-Bryony time.
We did.
Walking specifically around Fountains Abbey.
And post-Bryony.
Yeah, of course. But I think it's the pre-Bryony time that's sort of hardwired it maybe into our...
Maybe so, yeah.
Psyche. For me personally, I really love what you said about relaxing and calming and all of that. I think that's really...
I don't get that vibe when we visit castles.
Now, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
When you go places, and there's a lot to be said.
I do think places retain feelings.
Energies.
That might be a bit like,
no.
Way out there, but...
No, not at all.
I do think they do.
People give off energies, don't they?
Yeah.
People give off positive energies, negative energies. And I think definitely when you go to a castle, there is definitely a feeling of, even before you learn what's happened at the castle, there's a feeling of what they were designed to do. And
I agree.
Isn't that clever, actually, when you think about it? Because those things were designed to keep people in check.
And
they were designed to be stuck in the middle.
Maybe that's why some people feel creeped out going into some places, and because there could have been a bad history or something. Or
yeah, absolutely. It does, though. I think it then
if you pull it into the present, pull that whole vibes and things, and actually what we're talking about now is we're talking about how things were built as well, I think, don't you? The way a castle is built with the walls and the towers and the battlements and all of that. Things aren't built the same way anymore.
No.
Not at all. And you wonder in 500 years, what will people be looking at that we've left behind?
Some of these modern buildings I just think are awful, and I know loads of people would disagree with me, but I think so. I really do. And I don't know, I'm sure people would disagree, but I do always get a feeling for a place when we go somewhere. And that's why I love some places above others, I think, because they do have... I'm always drawn to Derbyshire, as you all know, and I love it there. And I guess we're all like that, you are drawn to some places rather than others. I don't know.
Just getting back to the abbeys for a second.
Sorry, I digressed completely.
The reason why, and I think we established this before but perhaps the one where we went to the Minster before Christmas, the reason why I think I have an affinity with abbeys is because of the amount of time I spent in churches when I was young.
Yeah.
So I think it feels like a place that... Because I think that's a clever thing about a church. With a cruciform shape, you always know where you're at, don't you? Even if it's fairly well ruined. And I think, though, out of all the abbeys, what's your favourite one?
My favourite abbey, say Jervo, probably.
Yeah.
And then I really like Bylands. Bylands is lovely. And Fountains. I really like Fountains. The problem with Fountains is it's always very, very busy. It's incredibly popular, quite rightly, because it's an amazing place. But I think when you go somewhere like Jervo, that's always quieter, saying that. But I think, the popularity of Fountains sort of puts it down the list a little bit for me, just because...
You've got to go at the right time.
Yeah.
And we're lucky
because we used to live, we lived a mile down the road, so we could go first thing in the morning, when nobody had arrived yet. Because we always know.
Or outside of a weekend, a weekday, first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's the time to go,
Yeah, definitely.
Jervo, I think, is one of my favourites. I'm always drawn back there, aren't I?
Yes.
And we went there for my birthday last year for a picnic, and I might do the same this year, I don't know.
Right.
Because they've just extended the cafe as well at Jervo. And it's really excellent now. It's a lovely big size, isn't it, the cafe?
And they had lemon curd.
And I think they had
raspberry curd.
They did have... Was it raspberry curd there, or was that in the farm shop?
They had something cheese as well.
It was... Was it fig? No, it wasn't fig.
Fig cheese.
What's the cheese that the... It was something like fig, wasn't it? Oh, your mum would know. Quince, no, was it quince? No.
Quince cheese.
Wasn't quince. Anyway.
That'd be bitter.
It was something like that. But it's really lovely at Jervo, and if you're ever... I think it's because it's a privately owned place. It's just run in a different way, isn't it? And it's not promoted, I don't think, as much, and people are not as aware of it as other places, which is good for us because we know about it. And
it's becoming more well known.
I wonder if it is, and that's why it was busier because we've not been for.
It must be a difficult challenge when it is privately owned. If you start to get more visitors, the problems that brings are probably huge with regards to erosion of paths and litter because it's not policed at all. There's nobody there, which makes it so nice.
Which makes it, there's no attendance or anything like that. It's just an honesty box. So you just pop your money in when you go in. It's just, there's no one there. But it does mean that, quite often at this time there was a lot of children there. They're climbing all over the walls and all this kind of thing. And part of me was like, parents.
It wasn't as bad at Jervo as it was at.
That was really bad at Egleston.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a bunch.
See, I don't think.
And that's the same thing. It's not policed, although you don't have to pay to go into Egleston.
And that is English heritage.
And that's English heritage. But as we just arrived, again, it's a place where usually nobody is, but as we just arrived, there was like this bunch of young teenagers, and they look sort of 12, 13, no parents or anything like that. I don't know where they appeared from. There must have been 10 or 12 of them. And they were playing some TIG game, you know, but they were shouting and screaming and climbing, swearing and climbing over everything. Absolutely no respect for what they were climbing over.
As I said to you on the day, it makes you feel sort of really positive about the future of the world.
Well, when you see and I felt really old, you know, saying, oh, look at them, you know, climbing on those walls. They're hundreds of years old, these walls.
I did not used to do that. Yeah, I was a typical boy, but I would not have gone to a place like that. And the reason why I wouldn't have done that is I would have been fearful of what would have happened when my parents found out.
Yeah.
Which they inevitably would have found out.
And, you know, Bryony sort of walks on the lower walls, but I'm always there with her and, you know, keeping an eye on her. These kids were just running absolute riot. And I don't know where they'd come from, but we did see a huge static caravan park, didn't we? Not far away, and I don't remember seeing that before. Probably a load of
kids on holiday.
That's what we thought, that they'd appeared from the caravan park. But
yeah.
So anyway, lots of
for the next 3 episodes, we will be refocusing, as you've already seen, on some abbeys. And what we thought we'd do, as you'll have already seen a little bit of, is just give you a little bit of the history as to how they've ended up in the way that they've ended up. And we'll be focusing on 3 of those for the next 3 episodes, which will be cool. So we've learnt a little bit already about the Abbey, and when we go back, we'll be looking at the story of what happened afterwards, and it's really cool. I particularly love the name of the lady who lived in that house, Frideswade. I think we should bring that back.
Sounds kind of Norwegian or something.
Yeah, maybe she was. Well, her maiden name was Frideswade Knight.
So maybe not. Maybe it's just like...
Or maybe it's Celtic. Their surnames always reflected the lineage of the family, so you wonder if she's...
Knight with a K?
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think we should find out what's on your needles.
I think we should.
Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
I've got, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4-ish things. The first thing is...
I have 3 things, so that works well.
All right.
Perfect.
There might be 5. Well, I'm talking about 5, but one of them might not be on the needles for very much longer because I don't know.
You're about to finish it?
No, I've only just started it, but I don't think I like it.
Okay.
So, the first thing is a pair of socks, and it's the long-standing, been on the needles forever.
Is that the name of the pattern?
Yes.
The long-standing, been on the needles. We should so do a pattern called that.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
These socks have been, I said before, but these socks have been on the needles since last October. I mean, what is going on with that? I don't know. So it's the Regia, this sort of confetti yarn, as I call it. Have I got a ball band? I'm sure I have. 4-ply colour in colourway number 05062. I hope I've got that the right way round. Lovely German people. I think Farby's colour, isn't it? Oh, I think. So it's the Regia yarn. You've seen it a million times before because these have been in existence for a million years. I'm on the second sock.
I don't like that colourway.
What?
I don't like the colourway.
You don't like the colourway?
No.
What is wrong with you?
Okay.
Why don't you like it? What's the problem with that?
Well, I don't find it offensive. I've not got a problem with it. It's not like, you know...
Why didn't you tell me that when I was only part way through sock 1 instead of slogging my way through?
It'll be very... You will wear it and it'll be lovely and everything's nice, but...
But you don't like it? It's lovely.
Is it?
Yes! Well, I really like it. Get off. Honestly, you know...
The yarn you dyed was much nicer than that.
Right.
Wasn't it?
Well, I think so. But then I love this too. I do really like it. It's just that, do you know when something's been on the go for months and months and you're just sick of seeing it? It's just that. You know, that's all it is. Plus, they came out a bit big, as I said before.
But perhaps the yarn's got something to do with the fact that they've been on the needles for months and months.
Well, maybe it's just because, I mean, that's the first sock, and you can see how much bigger it is. Because it's like, and I think I was chatting with somebody who's knitting exactly the same pair, and she said that hers had come out a little bit big as well. And I think it's because it's more of a sport weight, this yarn, I think. And I wish I'd either done just 60 stitches, these are 64, or I'd used a smaller needle. Because, you can see how much movement there is on there. And normally, when I put a sock on there, you'll see from my other one, it's kind of taut on there. So this one is quite baggy. And I honestly thought I was going to rip them out and just not do them. I think I was like about here, wasn't I, just to the toe. I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. Clearly I'm not in love with these because they've been on the needles so long. And I said that to Sally, and Sally said, oh, I love those socks. And I'm like, oh, I'll carry on then if Sally thinks that, because Sally knows everything. So that's the first one. And maybe when I wash them, maybe I'll put these in the washer. And I need to tell you about a washer experiment as well. But that's the first one anyway.
They look ill.
They look ill with the spots.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some pink with the spots on as well. I'm never going to knit that now, am I?
Sorry.
But I love that I used the Reggie's. No,
Coming
I didn't.
to a knit along giveaway near you soon.
I used the Hermione's template pattern, and can you see? I'll show you I love this, and I love the garter edge there. And I pick up, and I've changed the way that I pick up these stitches, and it does give a tiny more of a ridge on the back, but that doesn't bother me. And I pick up like I did for the log cabin. And like I'm doing for my mitered square blanket, I pick up between the garter ridges now. And I think, look how neat. I think it gives a super neat finish. And I always pick up an extra stitch in the gap here. And I always get one side that's neater than the other when I do that. But look how neat that is. I mean, I'm tooting my own horn here, aren't I? Big style. But I think I'm really sort of pleased with how neat that is. So that is those. And these are in a cute little bag that I made, and this was a little experiment, but this fabric was gifted to me by Sophia and Lisa.
Nice.
Yeah. Ishigo. Is it Ishigo? Ishigo.
There's a very nasty rumour going round that Lisa, she locked Sophia in a room. And then did the podcast. Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, I don't know if that is true or not. All I know is Sophia wasn't on the last podcast and Lisa was.
They locked her away.
I think she locked her away, pressed record, and away she went.
But this was a gift
Podcast interrupted. That was someone's episode, wasn't it, once?
Look, I got a little matching. She sent a little matching. It was perfect size pieces of fabric for a little sock bag.
That was the Knitworthy Podcast Interrupted. Is that the one where the camera fell over?
The camera just fell. Oh, gosh, it was so... We shouldn't laugh, but it was kind of funny. We're laughing. There's been lots of funny incidents in podcasts, I think, this past week or so.
There has, yeah.
So
can't eat lemon curd anymore.
No. So I made this little sock bag.
Because it smells like the Come Knit With Us podcast.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Heavens above. It was an experiment because I made it smaller than... I normally do when I do drawstrings. They're normally kind of this big, okay? But I realised that, there you go. I realised that actually because I always use drawstrings in my bag, when I'm out and about and things, I realised that you've got like loads of spare fabric. And when you're sort of scrunching it in your bag, it's nice to have the smallest thing you can. So I thought, right, I'm going to try making just a smaller one because I've got this fabric and it, like I say, it was a perfect size. And I think it worked out really well. It is a perfect size for a sock. So I've made a few for the shop, but I'll talk about that later. Yes. So that's the first thing.
And now it's time for me.
On my needles. And... let's just pray to the knitting gods that I get this finished for next time, because honestly I am so sick of seeing this project. I cannot tell you. Yeah. And I just need to get it finished. So, yeah. So that's going away, and I'll put my other sock on there while you're talking.
Snap it along then.
Well, it's your turn, isn't it? What have I done wrong? I don't understand. What have I done wrong? Oh, Dan Jones.
Yeah.
It's only episode, 23? What's on your needles?
It's some more socks. And I'm knitting these for Kay. And you see, that's a colourway.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
No purple.
What is it?
It is West Yorkshire Spinners.
Yes.
You see, you should have said, because you say everything is West Yorkshire Spinners when it's not. So you would have been right this time. Air Valley DK in the rainbow colourway.
And I seem to have...
but really, it's not...
I seem to have adopted a new way of knitting, because we measured them the other night, and Kay said I need to do about 4 more rows, and I did about 3, and they got shorter.
Well, I tried them on again the next night, because he said,
your foot had grown.
Just check again, and I went, have you actually knit anything on these? Because I think they're shorter than they were last night.
Hopefully they won't be shorter
I said,
when you try them on later.
Do another 3 rows. He said, I did that before. I thought, go on, do it.
It's like Cara Thompson from the Knit All the Things podcast. She's just friended me on the Runkeeper app.
Oh, yeah.
And she went for a...
This is not possible.
A 1.5 mile walk, and it logged that she'd burnt 8 calories.
It's got to have been a fault on it. And I said...
Unless she drove for the first...
You burn more than that, sat still. I mean...
No, I know what happened. She got the app because I said it'd be cool.
I'm going to sneeze.
If we got the app.
Oh, it's gone.
Yes, you bless everyone. I'll sing it.
It just went.
It's a song.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, Cara got the app, and I think she manually inputted her exercise rather than physically actually doing it. Whereas she did do a lovely walk yesterday afternoon. She took a picture, and it looked great.
It did, because she finished her dissertation.
Yes.
I said to Dan...
So she had a celebratory walk.
I said to Dan, what on earth is a dissertation? I never went to university, so all of this is kind of a mystery to me. And you just said it's a big long thing that you write at the end of your degree. Is that all right? So,
well, that's
Cara's written her big long thing.
That's a very... I summarised it
Yeah.
to hold your attention long enough for you to understand what I was on about.
Right.
So there is slightly more to it than that. But, that's sock number 1, and I'm just about to start the toe decreases. I think probably this evening.
Yes,
and that's
and it does fit. Actually, you know, I said I was worried about the fit. It's okay.
Yeah. With a proper heel turn.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm converting everyone.
Yes.
It's excellent. I'm starting the heel flap party. I'm starting the heel flapping.
No, call it gusset party.
Because that sounds wrong, doesn't it? Because Zena's knitting some Hermione's, and she normally knits toe up with either an afterthought or a fishlets heel. And she's just started some Hermione's and she loves it. And then she started another pair of top down. And I'm like, yes.
And didn't you get Marcia as well?
Oh, Marcia. I don't know if she's cast on yet. Very little. No, she's not done one yet.
Oh, okay.
She just put a picture up of the Hermione's pattern and she said, what have you done to me, Kay Jones? I'm like, yes. I'm turning all these people. You see, it's not the dark side.
Yeah, more on that later.
It's the light side. What's the opposite to the dark side? Is
in
there
Star
an opposite?
Wars?
Yeah.
Well, being a Jedi.
Right. Well, it's the Jedi side. Jedi knitters. That's what we all
Jedi
are.
knitters.
We're all Jedi knitters. That's what it should be. So anybody who knits socks with a heel flap is a Jedi knitter.
Who would be? You see, I've thought about this before.
Who is the Obi-Wan knitter? No, that's
me.
you. I'm going to be messing with my hair because it's bugging me today.
Oh, yeah. We call that a Denise.
Yeah.
She's doing a Denise.
This is the only reason I never wear my hair down, because it bugs me and I mess with it all the time. So,
who would be on the Jedi High Council of Knitting?
Gosh.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Who is the Yoda of knitting?
Well, gosh. You've asked me this before.
And who?
You've asked me before. This is a terrible question to ask.
Well, we can't answer it.
No,
but
I couldn't answer it.
Who would be the Sith? Who would be?
Is he bad or good?
They're the bad ones. They're the knitters on the edge.
Oh, that would have to be somebody like.
No, well, you can't say that either.
Oh.
Maybe we should start a thread where people should nominate who they think should be on the Jedi Council.
Jedi Council of Knitters.
And who should be, nominate who is the Dark Lord of the Sith of knitting.
I could name loads of people who I think are absolute Jedi knitters, but I suppose I shouldn't.
I could name some Dark Lords of the Sith as well.
Could you?
Yes. So, Kate Jones, what's on your sock blocker, eh? No. What's going on?
What's going on? No, well, the sock 2 is not yet on the needles.
This is an FO.
No, it's not.
Of course it is.
No, it's not.
If I had one leg, it would be.
Well, you haven't got one leg. So this is my other socks, my Chatsworth socks that I spoke about last time, and I think I was
Did you knit on those at Chatsworth?
I did.
Yeah.
I knit nearly a whole sock while we were there.
At Chatsworth?
Yes.
You mean at the holiday cottage?
Yes, not physically at Chatsworth. I don't think I knit actually this time when I was actually at Chatsworth. No, I don't.
So whenever I see those socks, I'll feel pain in my head.
Because you kept bashing your head in that teeny tiny cottage. Yeah. So I finished one. Can you? Oh, look at it sparkling. Can you see it sparkling? How cool is that? Look. Twinkle, twinkle, little sock. So I finished one of them, and I love. Can you see the difference with this sock on the blocker? How lovely it is compared to the other one, and it fits absolutely perfectly. And I said about my experiment going down a needle size. It's brilliant, and I think it's partly because this pattern is stretchy with the rib. That's the same as the Hermione's. That's because that's effectively kind of, a little bit sort of ribbish, isn't it?
It's ribbish.
Ribbish. Is that a word?
It is now.
Ribbish. So that's the first one done, and I love it.
Don't we have a thread on the forum about funny words?
It's just like, to me, funny words. We
words.
have.
Yeah.
It's colloquial words, not words I've just made up.
Well, maybe we should have some of those in. Ribbish.
Ribbish. Looking like, how would that be described in the dictionary?
Something that isn't very good knitted. It's ribbish.
It's ribbish. Yeah. So there's my first sock. And this is like, to me, this is like the perfect sock.
Yes.
I don't think...
Yes, I would agree.
Do you think as well?
Great yarn.
Great
pattern.
Yes.
Cracking heel turn.
Yes.
Everything's lovely.
All of that. All of the above.
I agree. Whereas the other... It's so obvious why those aren't finished. Because that is an inspirational yarn. And everything about it is great. So you want to finish it, whereas that isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. But again, can you look at that? I love how neat. And again, I'm going on about heel flaps, aren't I? But my first one did not look like this. It was wibbly, it was kind of all over the place, and it just takes a bit of practice. And I love doing this bit now. I just think it's fantastic. And I think the problem with having, doing a afterthought or fish lips heel is that you're not actually adding in any more fabric to this area. All you're doing effectively is you're knitting a toe here. And, this is a wide bit of your foot, over this bit here. And what it does for me is it stretches these stitches here. And you end up, it's very, very, these stitches here are very stretched. I'm trying to do it backwards, which is difficult. Whereas with this, you're adding in that extra fabric there, aren't you? Because then you do your gusset decreases to get back down to the right number. So you've got more fabric in this bit here. And this is why I think, they fit better. So I probably will still go on about heel flaps for many months. So you'll all be fed up of it. And you're fed up of seeing that sock now. I've showed you a billion times. So I haven't cast on the second one yet, but there's the rest of my yarn. I've got loads and loads left, so that's brilliant. And the colour's it's washing out quite a lot. It's a much brighter gold, isn't it?
Yes.
There's a really good picture on my Instagram feed, where the colours came out really well. Why are you looking like that?
I'm just thinking.
So, again, I want this one done for the next podcast. But what my thinking was that the reason I haven't cast this one on is because I wanted to finish that speckled one first and get it out of the way. But maybe I'll just finish this one instead, because it's a beautiful sock and I love it. And it'll be like, I've got 2 pairs of Hermione's that I knit with the Uncommon Thread yarn, which is one of my favourites, as you know. And I do wear them, but I don't wear them very often because they're like really special, and I don't want to mess them up, and So these will be the same. I think I'll just wear these, at night time with my pajamas. I don't think I'll wear them during the day like I do all my other ones.
Yeah.
So that's that one. Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your needles?
Well, I'm knitting the Handbrake scarf. This is the Uncommon Thread. It's a BFL DK special edition.
Have you just remembered all that, or did you look on the tag?
No, I remembered.
You did not.
I did.
No, I don't believe it.
Am I correct?
You are right. There's no way you remembered that. You've looked on the tag, I'm telling you. Ignoring people, because there's no way he remembered that.
It is the Handbrake scarf. This is within the Handbrake cowl pattern. It is getting long, as you can see, which is good. It is a twin skein scarf. So I still have a fair way to go on my first one.
This is lovely blocked. This is going to block really, really nice.
This is my Honey Cowl of Doom for 2015.
Well, if you get bored doing it...
I'm not bored.
I'm going to say we could always seam it and
but I'm not
it'll
bored.
become a cowl rattle shop.
But I'm not bored.
Okay,
This is a scarf.
I'm shutting up.
I will knit more cowls, but for now, I shall continue with my scarf.
Okay.
Uncommon Thread, really good. Pattern is £1 on... We'll do an update later.
Right.
Pattern is £1. It's on Kay's Ravelry pattern page. You get the cowl, you get the scarf, you get tutorials, and you get a special edition Bakery Bears podcast. So yeah, go get one, knit one of these, and then most importantly, please share your photos in the Ravelry thread, but also if you tweet on Twitter, and if you could tag it, hashtag Handbrake on Cancer, that would be brilliant. And also if you could tag us in too, at Bakery Bears, that would also be stupendous. And let's flood Twitter with pictures of knitters showing their support for people who are suffering from cancer.
Yeah.
Or doily, as we've now established that it is called.
And we don't even know now if a doily is the same thing over here as in America, because we were watching... I can tell you right now. Knitworthy.
We were.
Yeah. And lovely Linda had knit... It looked like a washcloth type thing, wasn't it?
Have you seen Linda's new glasses?
Oh, they're very cool. They're all like swirly on the sides. And she knit this, what I thought was like a washcloth or a face cloth or something, but then she put it on her head and she was talking about a doily or something. And we're like, that's not a doily.
A doily is a circular...
It's like a paper thing.
It's a paper thing that you stick down on the table and you put a drink on top of.
You don't put a drink on top of it. You put it underneath cakes.
Underneath cakes.
It goes on a cake stand.
It goes on a cake stand.
What are you talking about?
No idea.
A doily is like a lacy, papery thing.
My gran, right, used to put doilies down, lacy, papery things, and put drinks on top of them as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I would never use them for that. I would put them underneath on a cake stand and
I'm
then
with
put
you.
cakes on.
I'm with you, sister.
Right.
But I think that in this country, a doily is a circular paper thing that you use for whatever you fancy. Right,
okay. But it's a papery thing is what we're saying, isn't it?
Yeah. It must be designed to soak up moisture. Because if it's under a cake...
I guess so, but I would just put it there to look pretty, but it must serve a purpose. Yeah. So,
what is it elsewhere in the world?
In the world, yeah. What else is it?
Yeah. And actually, it'd be interesting to find out in non-English speaking countries what do you know what we're talking about with the circular pretty thing that goes under a cake or under a drink? But maybe that's just my gran being mad.
I think it is just your gran because you can get coasters. You can get coasters that are like papery, can't you? You know, like
do you not call those a doily?
Coasters. No.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't call that a doily. That's a coaster. I wouldn't call it a doily.
Okay. What do you call them?
Yeah.
That'd be nice to know. Please tell us.
Please tell us, whatever country you're in, what you would say a doily is.
Yes.
Yeah.
In this country, a doyle is very different to a doily.
Gosh, don't.
But that's another story. Okay. That's me. So you. What's on your needles, Kay Jones?
I'm not really going to talk very much about this, but I just...
that's reminiscent of that other yarn.
You don't like this one either, do you?
Well, I like it more than the other one.
You said you loved this one.
I do. I definitely like it more than the other one.
Right. I don't know.
But it is reminiscent, isn't it?
Not really.
But that was like one colour with splodges of others.
This is nothing like that other one.
Okay.
Is this one anything like the other one? No, it's not. So this is the... What is this? The sockhead hat in my Juliana's fibre. And I don't think I told you the colourway last time. I don't even know. I haven't got the tagging now. What's that all about? No, I haven't. But I think it's above the cloud. Is it above the clouds? Or is it... Yes, it is. I think it's above the clouds is the colourway. So I've not really touched this since last time. So I just wanted to quickly give you a quick flash, as they say.
Do they?
So it's just one of those things that is kind of sat there for if I need to just pick something up, quickly and just knit on it without having to think. So that's that. You've got one more thing.
Yeah, I know I do.
Oh.
And am I showing it now?
Yes.
Okay then.
I'm not. Do I have to say it every single time?
Well, yes. Go on, please.
What if I don't? What will happen if I don't?
I won't show you.
Daniel Matthew.
Oh no.
What's on your needle?
That sounds a bit like a monk.
Well,
doesn't it?
It's quite appropriate, isn't it?
This yarn's great.
Yes.
That's
now,
lovely yarn.
You wanted to do something new, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you really love your Messalina that I knit.
Shall I? I'm going to announce something right now.
Yeah.
I'm on the lookout for 2015's Bankhead hat.
Right.
It came to me last night.
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
I want to find this year's Bankhead.
Right. So you want to find a hat pattern that you want?
No, I'm not saying a hat pattern.
Just a pattern that
I've become obsessive about.
Oh, right. Okay. I don't.
Maybe it's this. Who knows?
Well, you've not knit anything on it yet.
I haven't knit anything on it yet, so it might not be this.
So
maybe it's the Handbrake. At the moment, I'm not sure.
Oh, right, okay.
I need to...
But you have knit a lot of the Handbrake. You do really like that.
Dip my toe in a few bits of water to find out.
Right.
But so far...
Oh, you can't show it like that. Just let go, man.
I'm knitting a Messalina.
Well, you haven't actually knit anything.
And could I knit it for you?
No, this one's for you.
Oh.
I wouldn't wear this colour.
Even when it's cold?
I doubt it. This is a manly yarn. We deliberately bought this because it was a manly yarn.
Yeah, okay.
That was the whole point. Oh, dear.
Well, I'll see what happens at the end.
So
I might keep it. Maybe I'll gift it.
Gosh, that would be an amazing gift if you did. So Dan wanted to have a go at the Messalina. And when we were out, at Jervo last weekend... I said to him, oh, why don't we, because it's close to a really tiny little yarn shop. So I said, why don't we pop in? Because that particular yarn, I know it quite well. And I said, that would make a fantastic shawl for you. And I think you'd really like knitting with it. And I've got some of the yarn here, so I'll show you. We went to the Wensleydale Long Wool Sheep Shop. It's near Leyburn in North Yorkshire. It's in a little place called Garriston.
It's not far from Jervo.
Not far from Jervo.
Middle of
Not far from Midland.
Which they don't know anything about.
No, we've not been to Midland Castle. That's a great place. And I bought 3 balls for him. This is the Aran weight. They do a DK, but it's quite a light DK. And because Dan was knitting this, I wanted it to be this is more like a worsted to me. So it'll be a heavier shawl, which is fine because it's for Dan, you know. And he wears the Cascade 221, which is a worsted. So it's 100% wool. It's hand wash only. And, you know, it's the sheep are raised there, and, you know, it's spun in Yorkshire, it's dyed in Yorkshire, everything is very local, and it's half an hour from here. I mean, you couldn't really get any more local. So we've got 3 skeins of this, and I think I looked at the colourway after, and I think it's Storm, which is really nice. It's like it's a deep grey, but I think it's got like
a Avenger.
It's sort of a blue grey to me. So I've started a Messalina for him, and I've done this much. And it's quite a furry yarn. That's the wrong word entirely. It's got a nice halo. I think you all know what I mean when I say that. So the pattern isn't showing as crisply as, you know, with a very tightly spun merino or anything like that. But I think that's fine. You can, I mean, I've only done 2 cable repeats. Once he gets going with it, it will be more defined, I'm sure. And also, Dan knits tighter than me, so I've given him 5mm needles. And I'm trying these ones, and I think Dan will like them. They are the Knitter's Pride Sunburst, I think they're called. I mean, I've only knit this little bit, but they're lovely to knit with. Really nice needles. So we need to find time where I can just sit down and just show him what to do, because we've only had sort of evening knitting, you know, the past few weeks really, and I'm so tired of an evening that I've just not got the kind of brain power to show him what to do. So, but it's on the needles. There we go. And the yarn's lovely to knit with. It really is lovely to knit with, and because it's a long wool, all you spinners out there will know it's a long wool, and I think it's got a lovely sheen. It's very shiny, and I think it'll be very drapey because of the fact that it's a long wool. It's not, do you know how merino's very bouncy and very springy? It's not a springy yarn, but, you know, it's got other lovely qualities, and I just think it's going to make a very lovely, you know, almost silky look to it. And it's, I mean, it's not bad. It's certainly a crisp yarn, I would say. But we tried, you know, I'd got some already at home, so we sort of rubbed it against your neck, didn't we, before we went and got it, and you said it was fine.
Yeah.
And once it's had a wash as well. So that's your other project, isn't it?
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll put that away, and you can tell us what's on your needles.
It's in your bag that was made for you.
By Mama C.
Mama C made it. And
Thank you.
She sent me a message recently, actually, which I need to reply to. I'm sorry, I haven't yet. But he does use it, as you can see. He's got that project. Yeah, I've got that project in. And I love that fabric, actually. I haven't seen that Star Wars.
Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Sorry, so let me put that back over there. No, that's not the last thing. This is the thing that I don't even know if I'm going to carry on with.
No.
What? I'm sure you'll have an opinion.
I like it.
Well, I like it. I'll tell you why.
I like the stitches.
That's the wrong
hold on.
side.
Don't tell me. Is this a shawl?
It is a shawl.
Come on. I'm getting good.
This is, or is at the moment, I don't know if
Is that the Love in the Mist shawl?
It is. It's the Love in the Mist shawl by Boo Knits. And it's like a crescent-shaped shawl with this really deep, lovely lace panel that's beaded. I'll see if, I mean, I printed it in black and white, so it doesn't show very well, but you can see the pattern there. I won't show it too long because it's got a little bit of the pattern on it. But there's all beads in that section. And I picked out some yarn that I've had in stash for a little bit, and I thought, oh, I'm going to knit that up. And the colour is nothing like that. I knew that it wouldn't work. This is Mad Tosh Tosh Merino light in button jar blue. That's not the colour. It's more is that word?
Well, imagine buttons in a jar that are blue.
Yeah. It looks blue on the screen there. And it's I can't say it.
Turquoise.
Is that how you say it?
Well, I went to public private school.
I've had this huge long conversation about how you say.
I had elocution lessons when I was young, so it's turquoise.
Turquoise, that word, right? Anybody that knows button jar blue knows what colour that is, but it's not really that. So anyway, I started this shawl and it's a garter tab cast on, which I don't have a problem with. You know, my Messalina starts with a garter tab. It's just not as long a garter tab as this one. And I never have an issue with them, but for some reason, I just really struggle getting this cast on. And then I remembered that Danny did that little tutorial in her last podcast, I think it was, one back, on how she does her garter tab cast on. She saw it on something else. I can't remember what it was now. And it was brilliant, and I did it, and it worked really well. So thank you, Danny. So this is all I've done so far. There's the garter tab cast on. You can see it was quite a long one. But, you know, it does look neat, I think. The thing that I don't really like about this is, I mean, you know that this is single ply yarn. The increases, I won't go into details because it's paid for, but the increases on either side are make one lefts and make one rights. And it's quite a rapid increase, so there's quite a lot of increases. You're increasing on every row. I'm just, because it's single ply, doing the make one left and make one right, I keep splitting my yarn, you know, and maybe I should change to wooden needles. I'm using hires. I'm just finding it a bit, you know, and I'm only that far in, and I just think, crikey, sorry, I'm clanking. I was just clanking on the microphone. That's really bad.
Oh, they'll be well aware of that.
That's really bad. Sorry, I'm so sorry. So I'm just finding it a bit tedious, I think is the word, doing these increases. So I don't even know if this is going to stay on the needles. So I'll move on. I meant move on from that. Yeah, so that might not even come to fruition ever. It might just get ripped out. And I even bought the beads as well because Tilly helped me find the beads. But you know, you can use them for something else. I'm not worried about that. So that might not.
Is that everything?
Ever be seen again? No, it's not. There's one more thing. I'll pop that away and stop clanking on the microphone. That's terrible.
There's bad podcasting etiquette. Bad broadcasting etiquette.
Why didn't you just stop me straight away?
Well, I was trying to be subtle.
Well, you're not normally, are you?
I am.
Gosh.
I'm subtle.
Oh, subtle?
As a brick.
People that's been watching us for 23 episodes, do you think Dan's subtle?
I know I'm subtle. What's this? It's not another blanket, is it?
Well, I'm not doing any more blankets.
No, I know.
Because, honestly, I just have not got the room in my house for any more blankets. But this is the Mitered Squares one. And I've done quite a lot. I think last time, I'd got 4 more to go on the 3rd row, hadn't I? I think I've remembered that right because I thought I've got to try and remember. So I did those 4. This is Volmizer Pure, I think it is. I was trying to think.
It made me think of Dramatic Knits.
I know. I could not Dramatic Knits.
You said it was Dramatic Knits.
It wasn't Dramatic Knits. It's Dairyland Knits.
Oh, was it him who was laughing at himself?
Yeah. It was Josh. It wasn't Dramatic Knits. No, Josh on Dairyland Knits was kind of laughing at himself because he said, and it's so funny because your mum does this, and we've said before, but you know, some words, because he's a German professor. You're a professor, aren't you?
Yeah,
I think that's right, Josh. When he gets to a German word, he says it in a German accent.
I've so got to watch this episode.
Oh, and he was just laughing at himself because he said somebody commented on that saying it was really, you know, really sweet that he was just talking American accent, and then all of a sudden he'd say like Martina Bem, and that's just how I say it because I'm English. But he was like Martina Beam, like it was so funny, and he was just laughing at himself. I was really giggling with you, Josh, because your mum does that.
Yes.
with French words.
Yeah.
Didn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
She also calls famous people by their surnames.
Yeah, she does. She's talking about tennis players in particular because she loves tennis.
Yeah.
She'll say Murray or...
Yeah, to be fair though, I did pull you up on doing the same thing just the other day.
What was I saying though? It wasn't like that.
It totally was. It was Plucky Knitter and you calling it Plucky.
That's not the same thing at all, is it? I was talking about the
same
Plucky Knitter yarn and I said Plucky yarn. That's not the same as calling some... Right.
It's the same thing.
So I finished that row. So we've got Wollmeise. That is an opal, I think. That was a gift from Jackie. That's some Plucky. How funny. That's Plucky Knitter. That was a gift that I knit socks out of.
Would you go, this yarn's uncommon?
No, because that sounds weird.
So it's Plucky Knitter.
Right, okay. And then I'm this far along on the 4th row now.
Wow.
Look at that. And I cannot remember what all these yarns are, I'm afraid.
It's not very well matched though, is it?
What do you mean?
It looks all a bit random.
Isn't it mean? I'll hold it up so you can see it. Oh, isn't it lovely?
Is it supposed to be random?
Random as in different colours all over like that?
Yeah.
Yes. But,
you need to give it a name.
I do.
What should we call it?
What should we call it? And it's this wide, look. It's super wide. Look how wide that is. It's got to be. How tall is that?
4 foot?
No, it's more than 4 foot. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, size doesn't matter, I suppose, does it really? So that's that. And I've managed now, because I've only got one blanket on the needles, I've managed to just get it all in one great big bag. Instead of 2, I had 2 bags with things in. So I'm trying to simplify my whole life at the moment. And
are you done?
Yes.
Time for a new section. And this section is called Handbrake on Cancer Update.
All right. Cool.
Hooray!
Hooray!
First of all, thank you so much to everyone who is taking part.
Gosh.
It's amazing.
I mean, I cannot tell you. I mean, anybody knows that sells patterns on Ravelry, you get, every time a pattern downloads, you get like a little email that pops up. And it's on an email account that's not on my screen all the time, but on my iPad I get little things that come across the top. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, banner.
Yeah, like a banner. So every time one downloads, I get this little thing. And on that first day, honestly, it was like all day. I was just like, download. I said, I cannot believe it.
It's so cool.
It was so cool. Yeah, thank you so much. And so far, we have raised just over £650.
Wow! Hooray!
So we've got £650 so far that'll be going off to, excuse me, to cancer research. And I think we said, because we spoke about how long we were going to leave it until we send off some money, because obviously it continues. But this first sort of launch will be the biggest sort of chunk, I expect, that we send off.
So we said a month, didn't we?
Yeah, we'll probably leave it a month.
So if it's 650 now, I think...
And this is 2 weeks in, isn't it?
I think
almost.
We should be aiming to be sending £1,000.
£1,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need to push on, people.
We do, but we're
spread the
incredibly
word.
grateful.
It's
I didn't
unbelievably
expect.
grateful. We need to just spread the word, and I think the way to spread the word is if you bought the pattern, please start knitting it.
And people are,
yeah. Loads are.
Some people are on the 2nd and 3rd,
which is so cool.
Then there's a number of people, a lot of people that have gifted 5, 6 patterns to someone else. And when I look on the sales, excuse me, I need a drink. When I look on the my Ravelry sales, I can see, somebody will have got one for them and then gifted, and it's just unbelievable.
And there's quite a few people. There's been a few podcasters as well. I know that the Two Tangle Skeins podcast have, and I know that there's other people been doing it as well.
Doing like a giveaway.
There was a Crochet podcast lady who contacted me. There's been a few who've done that, which has just been amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Just
That's so great. And
yeah.
let's push on to £1,000.
And what I'm going to do when I donate it, I looked into it, and you can just donate money online, you know, and I thought I'm not going to do that because I want it to have some kind of, you know, somebody to read something and know what it is that you've all done.
This is why I said before, if you are able to tweet a picture when you've finished, or, you know, at any point with the Handbrake on Cancer and also the app Bakery Bears, that will just start to show people what we're all doing.
Yeah,
because this is all of us. It's not fair, really, that we should send it off and go, look what we've donated. No, we haven't. This is
and I will. What I'm going to do,
of the people.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to write a letter, because you print off a form basically that Cancer Research produce, and you fill it in if you're making a donation. Put your details on, attach a cheque, and then I'm going to put a covering letter with it, and I'm going to send them a copy of the pattern as well. And I'll fully explain what it is that, you know, you have all done. And we have all done, I know, but I feel like it's you. And I was talking to my mum the other day and telling her, you know, she's like, how much have you raised so far? And she's yelling down the phone at my mum because she's almost deaf these days. And how much love? I'm like, oh gosh, Mum. So I told her, and she went, your brother was round the other day, and he's put some money in, and he must have gone on to Ravelry and bought it. And he said, your dad gave him £5 and to put in. How sweet is that? So my dad gave my brother £5 so that he could go on and buy, you know, 5 patterns. I was like, it's really nice.
He used to give them to some.
I know. Well, he must just bought 5 patterns. He
says he knows nitty people.
Yeah,
so.
I just bought them. So, you know, thank you all so much. It's absolutely amazing. And
so we shall.
We'll update you each time.
We'll update you next episode.
Yeah, next episode, and then it's then that I'll be sending off a cheque, so I can tell you exactly how much I'm sending off. I'm not sure. I wanted to work that out in dollars because
we'll do that for next time.
Must be getting on for $1,000. You know, close maybe $800-900, something like that. So. Thank you so much.
So back to Egleston Abbey, and what we're going to do for the next 2 episodes is, in the first part we'll be talking about the Abbey and when it was an Abbey and how it worked and what went on and the story of the Abbeys. But then in the second part we'll always talk about what happened after the dissolution, so the history of that Abbey after it got dissolved. And this one I love because it's all based around Frideswaide, as I've already mentioned. Frideswaide Strelley, that was a lady of Mary Tudor, and her husband, a guy called Robert Strelley, and it's a bit of a love story. So let's go back and learn a bit more about them.
Welcome back to part 2 of Favourite Places to Knit. So part 2 is going to be all about what happened after the Abbey got dissolved.
What does that mean? What actually happened when it got dissolved?
Well, what happened was, for those of you who don't know, and I'm certainly no historian, but Henry VIII had fallen in love with Anne Boleyn.
Right.
And he wanted to find a way of marrying Anne Boleyn.
Yeah.
And there was no way that the Catholic Church, which is the church that all the monasteries reported into, was going to agree to this. So Henry had a guy who used to help him. He was one of his advisors, his chief advisor really. And the funny thing is, he'd come to his service through Cardinal Wolsey.
Cardinal Wolsey
was the head of the Catholic Church in Britain. Yeah. And Thomas Cromwell used to work for Cardinal Wolsey.
Right.
Cardinal Wolsey was got rid of. Thomas Cromwell then became Henry's chief advisor, and Cromwell was a reformer. So Cromwell believed that the Bible should be written in English, should be understood by all men, and that religion should be thrown open more to everyone rather than it just being something that the elite understood and got benefit from.
Right.
So, you know, you can sort of understand to an extent what he was going on about. Well, Thomas Cromwell saw this as an opportunity to do something that he'd wanted to do for a while, and that is get rid of the church, the Catholic Church within this country. So he proposed to Henry VIII that if they were to get rid of all the monasteries, Henry, as being the new head of the church in this country,
he'd take
possession of all their lands.
Right.
So he'd take possession of their land, he'd take possession possession of the money that they had, and that's why this was done in around 1536.
And then he could get a divorce.
That's right. He could grant his own divorce because he was head of the church.
Right. Wow.
So it was all for the love.
Gosh, it's severe, isn't it?
It's very severe, and it changed the face of the world that we live in.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that in later episodes, but that picks up nicely on what happened to the Abbey after it was dissolved. After it was dissolved late actually. It was in 1540. And
so did people, when it was dissolved, what did they do to dissolve it? Did a group of people come in and...
Commissioners.
And do what? Kick them out?
Basically, what happened was Thomas Cromwell got two lawyers.
Right.
They were called Leighton and Leigh, and these two guys were hatchet men. Basically, you told them what you wanted and they went away and got it done.
Right.
They set up some articles that the abbeys needed to adhere to. They were basically new rules, and basically the abbeys were never going to be able to adhere to these new rules. So Leighton and Leigh went round to all the abbeys, they set down the articles, and then they assessed the abbey. A bit like when a school gets assessed by inspectors.
Ofsted,
yeah,
right.
Ofsted in this country. Basically, if an abbey failed, then they shut it down.
Right.
They brought people in, and they did pretty dramatic things. They took everything out. They normally pulled the roofs down, sold off all the lead on the roofs.
And where did the monks all go?
They just... many of the monks left the country, but the vast proportion of them filtered back into life. Right. They no longer had a job. I mean, it was horrendous.
It's
absolutely.
Very sad.
That was
isn't
very
it?
sad. Horrendous for them. Granted, in any walk of life, there are good and bad going on. And yes, there was an awful lot of rubbish thrown by Henry at the monasteries, saying that they were doing bad things. Now, it's absolutely certain that in some places, guys were, and we're going to find out more about that in later episodes. The Abbot of Revo, in particular, was a bit of a naughty boy. But there's good and bad in everybody. And I, through the books I've read, firmly believe that there was more good than bad going on. These were good people doing good things for the community, and the country, greatly believed in that there was a revolution because of what Henry did. But what happened to Egleston? Well, Egleston got given to a guy called Robert Strelley and his wife Frideswaide. They were desperately in love. They both worked in the house of Mary Tudor, and he wanted to make a house for them to grow old together in and have a family in. So let's go and take a look at that house and learn a little bit more about Robert and Frideswaide. In 1540, the estate was awarded after the dissolution of the monasteries to Sir Robert Strelley. Now, Sir Robert was on the up. He was a close confidant of the king, and he'd spent many years in the service of Mary Tudor, the king's first daughter. Now, he was married to Frideswaide, who was also within the household of Mary. And what he wanted to do was create a wonderful house for him and his wife to live in. In 1553, their future was looking tremendously bright, and you can imagine them living here, planning for the future, and trying to start a family. It's excitement I think any of us would feel on the road to success within job and life as a whole. And as you walk around here and you see the fireplace that they will have sat in front of, and you just look through the windows that Frideswaide will have looked out of, you really get a sense of where this house came from. And what it was designed to be. It's quite a grand place. Now, unfortunately, their future was not a bright one as it turned out. Robert went to take his seat in Parliament as a senior knight, but sadly he wouldn't even see the end of that first Parliament. He's marked as absent due to ill health, and on the 23rd of January 1554 he died. It's so tragic. Frideswaide was disconsolate, and she could never actually return to the home that she loved with Sir Robert. She just couldn't face it. She stayed within the house of Mary though, and lived a long life. She's registered as attending Mary's funeral some years later, still as a member of that household. But what became of Egleston? Frideswaide sold it to her nephew, and it continued to be lived in by generations of their family. By 1720 it had been bought by Long Sir Thomas Robinson. Now he was called Long Sir Thomas because there was also another Sir Thomas Robinson who was quite fat, and he was called Round Sir Thomas. This is how they were referred to actually in Parliament, which I love. Now, Long Sir Thomas was a bit of a dandy, and he loved parties, and you can imagine that this was a real party house. Now, he had a passion for architecture, and he designed and built the beautiful bridge that actually is part of the entrance up to the house. This is one of my favourite parts of Egleston Abbey. This is the kitchen area, and this is the plaster that's on the wall. Some of the graffiti you can see here is from the 1800s and the early 1900s, and I love it. It's literally history that you can just touch and see, and see people's names, just normal people like you or I. I spent loads of time in here looking at this part. This was the shelving would go in here that they would stack on foodstuffs that they would then cook in the big fireplaces that you can see over there. And when you think about Sir Thomas Robinson, you can imagine the cooks in here preparing the food and getting the drinks ready for his parties. I love this ceiling as well, because this ceiling is very much the same as the ceilings that you would have seen in the chapter houses of abbeys that we visited previously and that we'll visit in the next 2 episodes. That's just a storeroom in the side of the kitchen. Again, I just love areas like this, because I think it's these areas that really do reflect what it was like to work within the kitchen of the house that was built at Egleston. And what a grand house it was. By 1770, not 1570, his extravagant parties had caught up with him, and he just couldn't afford to stay there anymore. So the house was bought by the Morritt family. Now, the Morritt family's most notable member is John Bacon Morritt. He was a friend of the poet Sir Walter Scott and the artist Turner. And Turner actually painted a picture of Egleston, which I've got somewhere and hopefully I can show you now. Walter Scott also wrote some poetry on an invite from John Bacon Morritt, who had invited him to come and stay at the house. It's called Rokeby, and you can actually find it on the internet. I really think that this gives us a tantalising glimpse into how the house looked as its life began to come to an end. I think the painting is absolutely superb. It's rare we have seen at first hand an abbey and its life after Henry's dissolution. Egleston became a home and saw heartache with the death of its first owner, but there are plenty of fun with the parties of one of its last owners. I think it's only right now that it sits here as a testament to the work of its builders, the White Canons. I, for one, can feel the draw that brought them here 1,000 years ago. I enjoyed that. Did you? Yeah, it was nice. It's just unfortunate. You may well have caught in the beginning, the very start of the podcast, some of the challenges that we faced on that shoot with the hailstones.
Oh gosh, that was like, where has this come from? Because it never, when we got back home, it never appeared here, did it?
And the over-friendly cats.
Oh, the cat.
That looked decidedly like they were going to start spraying on people.
I was worried. It kept rubbing up against us. I was like, don't let cat spray.
It was interesting. But what an amazing place. And so interesting to find out about what happened afterwards. We've not done that before. And we've been there many, many times. And just sort of nice to know that that house was built by a guy, who loved his wife dearly and wanted to make her a nice home. And
you'd build me a bridge, wouldn't you?
That wasn't him. That was Long John Robinson.
Oh right,
who built the bridge.
Right, yeah, as opposed to
his parties.
Fat John Robinson, was it? Is that what you said?
I don't know if his name is John Robinson. I can't remember now. But whatever I said in the podcast, that'd be correct. Or was it Tom Robinson? Oh, I don't know. He was a real party animal. And so interesting, you can go into the kitchen area and you can just be in the places where they were. And how interesting as well that Robert Strelley and Frideswaite Strelley were so close to Mary Tudor and Henry VIII. And you don't really think about people who are living at court,
having a house so far north.
No.
And, granted, they weren't there all year, but that was the home he wanted, to bring his family up in. And how sad that he died so young. Never got the opportunity to do that. But anyway, I want to know what's off your needles.
Yay! I'll just say, actually, I just saw a picture of it when I was looking at myself. I've got on it's the basic chic hoodie, but I didn't put the hood on. I just put a big collar on because I was worried that the hood would drag it back because it's a very heavy yarn. This is the Plucky Knitter. It's plucky yarn. You see, everybody says plucky yarn, and that's...
You don't.
Okay. I knit this, gosh, it must be getting off 2 years ago, with... Dan bought me a sweater's worth of yarn for my birthday. And as everybody knows, Plucky Knitter yarn is expensive yarn, and also getting it shipped from America. Plus, I had to pay import duty on it as well. And, that's a real bee in my bonnet, import duty. And, people have mentioned it on other podcasts before. But basically, even if something is a gift from someone else, if the value is over a certain amount, and I think that value is $30, so it's not very much really. I think it's $30, don't hold me to that. Then you get stung with import taxes. It's actually a handling fee from Royal Mail Post Office. Plus sometimes there can be taxes on top. So the bare minimum that you ever pay is something like £12 odd. Which if you're just buying just like a single skein of yarn, or if it's a gift from someone and you end up having to pay these fees, it's a bit of a devil. So anyway, it's a very expensive cardigan is what I'm saying. But guess what I did last week? I threw it in the washer. Oh! And I've never done that before with anything. And it's superwash. And all of you out there are like, oh, I put my stuff in the washer all the time. But I never do. I always hand wash everything. But I was just like, oh, do you know what? Because it's such a heavy thing. This yarn is very dense. It just takes forever to dry. And I thought, well, if I bunged it in the washer... it'll be less wet, isn't it, in there, because it spins it. Let's just do it. So I did, and it was fabulous. Came out perfectly. I mean, look, absolutely perfect. I just laid it out flat to dry, didn't tumble dry it or anything like that. I mean, it is quite pilly, but it was pilly before it went in because there's cashmere in it. It's the Plucky Knitter.
Is there such a thing as a pill hook?
You're being funny.
No, I just wondered. Is there?
Not as far as I'm aware.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm picking pills off now. I don't wear it that often, and the only reason is, I said to Dan this morning, it's so warm. It's so warm.
I came in and the door was open, and
it's not a warm day today.
And Kay goes, "Oh yeah, I've just got to cool the room down." I said, I had my gilet on, and I was cold.
And I said,
it's
so warm, this cardigan. But I love it. And it's the colourway, I think, is Sweet Nothings. It's on my project page, but I think it was Sweet Nothings. And it's really nice and long. You can see it comes like way down there. It's super snuggly and warm. And I just wanted to tell you that I'd slung it in the washer, which for me is like, that. The first thing is, yay! You can wear them now.
Thank you.
He's not been allowed to wear them.
Have I not?
No. Because until I've shown everybody their loveliness. And
Imperial Knits, he's doing some.
He is. Yeah.
That's the
he says that
Canadian
Knitter
podcast.
Is that what it's called? The Canadian Knitter Podcast. Is that what it's called, Sarah? I think that's what it's called.
That's her husband.
But Garrett is knitting some of these because he said it looks like Boba Fett. And it does. I think it does, doesn't it?
Yes,
I never thought about that when I started knitting it.
Absolutely it does.
So I've washed them, and, it's lovely washing things because it evens out all these stitches. I sometimes just get a tiny little ridge, where you change over on your magic loop. I think it kind of gets rid of that entirely, doesn't it? Not a ladder as such, but just, you know what I mean. So they're all done. And who commented on these socks and I nearly combusted?
Darth Vader.
Well, that would be good, wouldn't it? No. Susan B. Anderson.
Oh.
I was like, when I saw it, I said, oh, Dan, look who's commented. I was absolutely like fangirled out. Susan B. Anderson commented and said they were lovely, and she tagged in, I always get her name wrong, Kristen. Is it Kristen Nicholas or Kirsten Nicholas? The designer of the colourway. I apologise, I always get your first name with one way round, than the other. But anyway, these are finished and you can have them now.
Not you.
Not you. Dan can have them.
Thanks.
All done.
Cool. What else is off your needles?
Well, off my hook.
What else is off your hook? Your pill hook?
Well, I decided, here it is, you all know what it is. I decided I needed to finish it. A few reasons, but mainly just because I'd got to the point where it was feeling slightly like a chore. And I just thought, you know what, I don't want that to happen. And it's plenty big enough for a lap, like more than big enough. Look, it's more than big enough for, a blanket for the sofa, and it would fit both of us if we had it that way around, without a problem at all. So I decided to end it as it was. And so I started on the border, and I thought, stupidly, I was like, only take me an hour to do, to do this border. And it took me like 4 days of evening, crochet. So it probably took me 8 or 9 hours or something, maybe longer. But what I did was I did 3, did I do 3 rounds? 1, 2, yes, I did 3 rounds of granny. So that's just let me check, 1, 2, 3, yes I did. And then I wanted to do like a lovely scallop border, and I looked up a few tutorials, and I can't remember the one I went for in the end, but basically I did single crochet all the way around after my 3 rounds, and then I did this little scallop, and basically the scallop was a single crochet, skip a stitch, 5 trebles into the next one, skip a stitch, single crochet, and then repeat that around, and it created this lovely scalloped border, which I think it finishes it off really, really nicely. It needs a bit of a proper block. I'm not going to wash it at this stage because I'm worried, because quite a lot of these are obviously hand-dyed yarns, and I am worried that they would bleed. I know that happened to Molly, I think, when she's had to wash hers, when she's had like spillages on it. So at this stage, it's not like it's dirty, it's never been used, is it? So I'm not going to wash it for the time being. I will have to at some point. So this one's done. Ta-da! And I know it's not as big as I said I was going to do it, and a few people have guilted me over that, I've got to say. But, I was, like I said, I was just ready to have it done, and I wanted to move on. I think I'm the kind of person that I don't like having projects on the go for, forever and a day. And I was happy that I'd kind of satisfied that craving to do it. And it's a perfect size. We do have quite a lot of blankets. So it's not like we're short of bigger blankets. So, all done. Really pleased.
Anything else off your needles?
No, that is it.
It's a big week.
It's a big week.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
You're going to say about the trailer.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I am. There'll be lots of people wondering what you're talking about. The trailer for what? Or maybe some people thought, they've bought a new trailer for the back of their car.
Garrett will know, and Matt Franklin will know what we're on about.
Will they? I sort of feel like testing them now. But I can't, because I want to talk about it. Do you know? If you do, go Instagram it right now. Whenever you're watching this, go Instagram it, and then I'll let you off, and I'll believe that you knew. Tomorrow, that's Thursday, the 16th of April, J.J. Abrams will launch the Star Wars celebration. I think it's in Anaheim. And he will do something very special. No one knows what that is, but what everyone is saying off the record is that it's going to be the first full-length trailer for the new Star Wars movie, which for Star Wars fans is pretty special.
I meant to say to you...
What?
Sally said to me in a message, was it yesterday, Sally, that her mother-in-law told her that she kept hearing noises. She lives near LA.
All right.
And she said she kept hearing noises near the marina, did you say, Sally? And that her mother-in-law had said it was something to do with the new Star Wars film. Does that make any sense at all?
Well, there was a film that I've not actually watched yet, which someone had done. And I'm pretty sure what they'd done was they had put together a film of the Empire invading Los Angeles.
Oh, right.
So maybe it's got something to do with that.
To do with that, right.
Or maybe she lives somewhere near to where this convention's going on and they were getting ready for it. I don't know. But it is a huge week because, I mean, last time it was massive for us. It really was when we watched it. And for all those people who watched episode 14, you will have seen Bryony and my feeble effort at Lego stop motion to recreate the initial trailer. So apologies, I think I've apologised before. Don't worry, I won't do it again because it took absolutely ages.
No.
And Bryony lost interest after a while. But it was fun. It was fun to do, and that's on episode 14. But new trailer. So we thought, as it's such a big week for Star Wars, we needed to do something to celebrate it. Because you all know I love Star Wars, and Kay is not quite so bothered.
I like it.
So what do we...
don't like the new... I can't be doing with Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, we know all that rubbish. We don't even talk about it.
He wants getting rid of...
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing to celebrate?
Oh, right. I've made some bags.
But they're very special bags, because they are...
They are...
If you love Star Wars... I thought it would be great if Kay did some Star Wars bags, because it's a big week for Star Wars. But Kay said, what about the people who don't like Star Wars? Yeah. So what we did was I picked out all my favourite fabrics, all my favourite Star Wars fabrics. Yeah. And Kay picked out all her favourite fabrics, which are non-Star Wars. So we've done a Star Wars love and Star Wars, I'm not going to say hate.
No, it's like a Dan and Kay.
No one hates Star Wars. It's a Dan update. It's a Kay update, all in one. Yeah. Let's see them.
So I've started sewing them. I've still got some more to do.
Let's see a sample then.
But we'll talk about that one in a minute. So, like I said before, I really liked the drawstring, the little one that I made, this one. So I thought, right, I'll do a few drawstrings because I haven't put any drawstrings in the shop for ages and ages. So these are the ones I've done so far. So this is shameless self-promotion, can I just say? But, you know.
Well, we wanted to do something to celebrate Star Wars.
And this just made sense to do it this way.
We just had fun. I had fun picking out fabrics, and I even helped Kay a little bit with putting them together, and it was just a fun thing to do. And we thought it would be a fun way of celebrating the new trailer.
So this is the first little drawstring, and I'll just say, and Denise said the same thing, and I agree with you completely, Denise. I have made the cords out of fabric before, and I don't like them as much. You have to really, pull hard because fabric's quite grippy, obviously, to get them to pull. And I just prefer, this is like a really nice silky cord or a pretty ribbon, so you'll always see my drawstrings with those rather than the actual fabric pulls. So I've got this Star Wars one. This one's the glow in the dark. And then I've got two girly ones. We've got superhero girls with a lovely spotty interior. That's really cute. And that's got a pretty red ribbon.
So there is your Dan and
Kay, yeah. Nomi's. I've had this fabric for ages and ages. And it was just a 1/2 metre. But it came this way up. So the short end was here. And I've just forever thought, what can I do with it? Because the size wasn't, I couldn't cut it in such a way to make a normal bag. But it fit perfectly for a drawstring. So there's a little no meat. I'll admit to a tiny error. I forgot to put in my Bakery Bears tag on it, so there's a badge on that one instead. So I don't know if that's...
But that's quite cool. That makes it an even more bespoke
there's
one of a kind.
There's quite a few one-of-a-kinds in this, you'll notice. So there's that one. There'll be a couple more drawstrings that I'll be sewing up. And then I did some notions pouches because, again, I don't know that I've ever sold notions pouches. So these are just really simple. I mean, that one's the Star Wars one with some lovely yellow chevrons in it. And these will all have some kind of zipper pull. And I've got ballerinas. They're cute. Little dancing ballerinas with a turquoise.
Turquoise? Why are you saying turquoise?
Because
turquoise.
I just can't deal with that word. And then I've got one sock size wedge sewn up, and this one will be going in at a reduced price because I forgot to top stitch. I was absolutely livid when I saw I'd forgotten to top stitch. It doesn't affect the usability of the bag at all, but I just always top stitch my bags, you know, and so I am still going to put it in the shop because I love the fabric. It's one of these Japanese prints, and I just think it's so cute. And I'll put little chevrons in that, so that's definitely a K bag. But that will all be slightly cheaper just because of that.
And there are more, but they're just not done yet.
I've just not sewn the rest up yet. I'll be doing them tomorrow.
And when are you doing the update?
It'll be Saturday again. Saturday seems to work the best for me. So it'll be this Saturday at 7 p.m. British summertime. I realised a week or so ago that I always say Greenwich Mean Time, and I just thought that was the same. Greenwich Mean Time changes by an hour when the clocks change. And I panicked. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've said Greenwich Mean Time, and now that the clocks have changed, we've gone on to summertime. So I did correct it on Instagram and everything. So it's British summertime now. So 7 o'clock in the evening.
Cool.
And like I said, there'll be a few more as well, just depending on what I get done tomorrow.
And don't forget to watch the trailer when it comes out tomorrow.
There'll be another wedge.
Oh, well,
there'll be another wedge one that's
it won't
Star
be tomorrow,
Wars.
Then. If you haven't seen the trailer and you're interested, just go YouTube it because it'll be out by the time you see this podcast.
And then
you're going to see Princess Leia and Han Solo probably. It's worrying. It's worrying because is she going to look crazy or not? I think Han Solo will pull it off.
Yeah, men can pull age off, I think, better than women.
I think whether she's in it or not will probably be evidence as to whether the filmmakers are happy with how she looks or not. Because supposedly she's going to be in it, which would be great.
I've not seen how well she looks lately, but didn't she?
She lost loads of weight.
Lost loads of weight.
They went into a massive fitness regime.
Right. So she probably looks really lovely, I'm sure.
Well, you'd expect so, but we shall see.
And then I decided to have a go at doing something, and all of I had like lots of little scraps left over, as you do when anybody that makes anything knows. And I thought, what can I do with all these little scraps? You can't really do very much with them. And then I said to Dan, gosh, I might have a go at making a patchwork bag, like a big sweater bag, a patchwork bag with all the little Star Wars leftovers that I've got. So I had a go, and I really think it's quite epic.
This is well epic.
Da, da, da.
That's not very good English, by the way. Well epic.
It's well epic. So it's patchwork on both sides. I'll hold it up. How cool is that? I'm really pleased actually with how it came out. And it's a big sweater size. And it's got like galactic stars in there. And we've had some debate about this bag. So you can see it's a really nice size. It's got a big squared off bottom. And I've still not fully decided because it's a complete one-off. You know, I won't ever do another one of these. It was very time consuming. You know, all of these are cut separately. They're all sewed together. Anybody who does patchwork knows it's quite time consuming. And I did it front and back. And I just thought, well, if I put it in the shop, I'd have to price it quite high because it took me twice as long, really, as the other bags. And it's also one of a kind. And I don't know if I feel...
We've just come to the conclusion that that's not...
No, I didn't feel right
about.
pricing it as high as I'd need to price it to cover my time, you know. So I think I'm going to keep it, is what I'm saying.
Damn.
Unless you see this appear in the shop on Saturday, I think we're just going to keep it.
Well, it's not going to happen, is it?
I don't think so.
It's not going to appear in the shop, because also as well, we're very conscious of the fact of the fairness in things.
Yeah.
And there's just no way of
making it fair, because I've had a few people recently have commented that they don't even try and get one of my bags anymore because they go so quickly, and that makes me feel really bad.
So but we've put things into action. The fact that you're doing another update quick after the last one, the fact that you're factoring in, you know, being able to put more out, we're absolutely doing everything we can. I'm trying,
yeah, and you know,
and rest assured, stick at it, because you'll get one eventually.
Yeah, and the you know, one of the biggest issues is something I can't control, and that's the fact that when you have an Etsy shop, you can get cart jacked. You know, you can have something in your cart, and by the time you get to the checkout, somebody else will have got it and checked out.
For anyone buying one, if you go on and you buy one, you get it in your cart, get through to the checkout fast.
Don't loiter. Don't think, oh, I'll have another little look and see what else.
Go straight through.
Just go straight through as quick as you possibly can. And there's nothing I can do about that. It's Etsy, you know, I'm not in control of Etsy. And Etsy at the minute works for me. And I know that's a lot of reason why people move to things like Big Cartel and also via their own websites and things like that to avoid carjacking. And it's a horrible thing. I wish it wasn't there. But like I say, I can't control it. And I am, you know, I'm sewing more up this week, which I wouldn't normally do an update so quick. Just because, you know, we have day jobs and, you know, it's difficult fitting this in. But I've factored in some time this week, and I said, right, okay, I'll, you know, and we wanted to do the Star Wars thing as well, you know, to mark that, because it's so important to Dan. And this was, you know,
and to so many of you.
We were going to do a lottery for this. I was going to do a random number generator for anybody that wanted it, and I thought of all different ways of doing it. But in the end, I just thought, you know what? It means so much to Dan, Star Wars, and I was so pleased with how this came out that I think I'm just going to keep it. And I said to him, well, you know, I don't knit that many sweaters. And he said, well, maybe it's a sign that you should knit a sweater.
A Star Wars sweater?
Maybe I should.
Ooh, a Star Wars sweater.
What, with like...
But no, subtle, something, jumper with a...
Well, I thought about knitting another one of those Irish coffees, and I've got the yarn for it in like a dark purple.
Right.
And you really like that Irish coffee, that.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah, that, but can't you knit me some sort of...
No, I'm not knitting you a jumper.
With no sleeves?
No, I'm not. What?
A tank top.
Oh, a tank top, right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I might knit you a tank top.
Would
you wear that?
Yeah.
Would you wear a tank top?
I would. Why am I speaking like this?
Honestly, you'd wear a tank top, would you? When I say a tank top, I mean, what do you call them over in the States? Is it a sweater vest?
Why not?
I don't know, I just didn't think you'd wear. Well, I'll think about that then.
I'd wear one of those.
But how could I incorporate Star Wars into it?
The way to do it that would be cool would be you could either take that.
Oh, get on. Right.
Or that.
How could I do that?
I don't know.
Well, I couldn't do that.
And
it's a mean intarsia, and I'm not doing that.
Well,
unless I duplicate stitch. I could duplicate stitch it on.
There you go. She's there.
I could duplicate stitch.
She's got it.
Couldn't I? I'd have to map it out.
That'd be so cool. That'd be like the coolest thing ever.
So just a plain...
Just a normal... What it needs to be is it needs to be something that does not scream Star Wars. Something that screams fashion and handsomeness. But then subtly.
Right.
On the where you would normally expect to see the Ralph Lauren sign. You see a star. Oh,
what he was pointing at was like this.
That's the sign of the Empire.
I mean, could I duplicate stitch something like that onto a knitted fabric? It's how I would chart it out, because a knit stitch is not square, is it? So it's how you chart it. Sam, Kermit Van Frog, you charted that blanket square, didn't you? Tell me if you think I could do, because I think you did this, didn't you? She did that, didn't she?
Something like
Sam.
That, yeah. We can go check in a minute.
Yeah, so that's my lovely bag, and I think it's staying here.
So it's time for what's on your bookshelf.
Oh,
Yes. What is on your bookshelf?
I was just reading my notes that I wrote in my lovely planner, which I will talk about in Indie Bits.
Let's.
Meliabella, totally using it. Sally, I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, and as they all know, what I said was to come back and let's talk about this in a year's time.
Let's do that.
Yes.
I will still be using it.
Oh, and that'll be great then.
Right. I finished the Ivy Lane. I finished that one that I spoke about a few times, and I did really enjoy it. It kind of it was a little bit predictable. I kind of worked out halfway through
how do those books get published. I suppose people want similar.
Yeah, it was a very enjoyable read, and I really enjoyed. I wouldn't have finished it. I'm not the sort of person that will plough through a book just for the sake of finishing it. And I finished it, and I really enjoyed it, and so I am almost halfway through.
That looks superimposed.
I think it is superimposed. Okay. Yeah, I think it is. What Dan was saying, that child there doesn't look like... It looks superimposed, and I think it is. He looks a bit too happy, smiley, doesn't he?
Well, there's something not right about the image when you look at the image.
Definitely
the shadows
It's
aren't
superimposed, right. I'm sure. But I'm reading this, and I'm that far through. I'm like a third of the way through. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. You were right, Sue. It's a lovely read, and she's got to the point where she's met her husband now, and she's just moved into the farmhouse where they live. Ravenseat, it's called, the farm. She's just moved into it, and the house is a bit of a wreck, I think, from what I understand. So I think they must go through a process of renovation of some sort. But it's a fascinating book, and I'm learning so much from it as well, just terminology and things like, I didn't realise this about sheep. I read last night that they don't need, sheep are, they must be vastly intelligent, I think, sheep.
No, they're not at all.
They're not?
No.
Well, explain this to me then, right, that when they let them out into their field or whatever it's called, they did say it was called a particular word, and I can't remember now. But each sort of little flock of sheep has their own area that they kind of live in. And they all know what their area is, and they automatically go to it, and they don't need to, herd them. Do you herd sheep? They know which area is their little sort of family area.
Right.
And they all automatically go back to that area when they've been away from it.
Right.
And they let them back into, they all automatically go to their little bits of field.
Right.
I think that's really clever.
Yeah.
But even like she said, when it's just a vast open piece of land and there's no trees or anything to sort of say, oh yeah, I live near that tree, there was no kind of, you're nodding as if to say, no, they're not, sheep are stupid. Well, I thought they were very clever to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely sheep. So I'm really enjoying that still. The Yorkshire Shepherdess by Amanda Owen. And then when I was
No,
I'm not doing that.
No.
I'm not doing that.
No, it's me.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So go on then.
Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your bookshelf?
Transitioning beautifully between the Roman favourite places to knit that we have been doing, and now moving into the Abbeys and the Tudors, are my two book choices. The first one I've actually had on my Kindle for a while, and it's that one that you see there, and it's called Vindolanda, a Roman frontier fort on Hadrian's Wall, and it's by Robin Burley. Now, this book should only be read by someone who is interested in archaeology or very interested in Roman history. If you're interested in either of those things, you'll find this book extremely interesting. One of the reasons why I'm reading it is this is one of the places we're going to take you to in the summer in the holiday special, which will be all about Rome and Hadrian's Wall, a real in-depth sort of look around there. This is one of the places we'll be going. The reason why I'll be going there is they found, and we've mentioned this slightly before, they found like postcards there, letters, communications. Basically, when the one of the forts was got rid of and they built a new one, when the people were moving out, slaves it will have been, were supposed to go and burn a load of documents and get rid of a load of things, and they didn't properly light the fires, and the documents didn't burn. And they then got, I don't really quite know how, and it hasn't properly said that, but it doesn't really matter. I don't know how they got encased in this type of soil that meant they didn't degrade. So basically, they found things there that are just totally extraordinary, like the earliest example of a female writing. By quite some hundreds of years, but also just really interesting things. Soldiers asking for leave, and talking in a very, very similar way to how we talk today. I find that really interesting. It goes into great detail. It breaks down the archaeological dig over a number of years and what they found in different sections and the challenges that they. Don't get me wrong, it's not a scholar's book. It's definitely a book that you or I could read, or any of you could read, and it's really interesting. And I'm reading it to Bryony at bedtime, and do you know what?
The poor girl.
I was just about to say, right? If she doesn't like a book, she says.
Oh, right.
And she says, can we try something else?
Oh, right.
And she hasn't said that. So
wait, this is so funny, because like when I do, we take it in turns to do bedtime. And when I do bedtime, we're listening to an audio book, and we're going back and listening to Little House on the Prairie at the moment. And then you do that. It's no wonder she likes my bedtimes, is it?
I think she likes both our bedtimes.
She does, because she'll say, your turn for bed tonight, Mummy, or your turn for bed tonight, Daddy.
It's cool. Now you can tell us what else is on your bookshelf.
Righto. Pearl. When we were on holiday, just gone, we were at Chatsworth, obviously. No great shock there. And I was in the...
Doesn't that look like the colour of your yarn?
Doesn't it? Yeah. We were in the gift shop. There's a couple of gift shops there. And I spotted this book and I was like, got to get that. And it's written by Christine Robinson, who is the head housekeeper at Chatsworth. And she's been head housekeeper for 40 years. I think it's 40 years. Yes.
I was pleased.
Well, she's not been head housekeeper for 40 years. She's worked there for 40 years. I'm not sure how long she's been head housekeeper, but many years. And it's written by her, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've absolutely got to get that book. And it's a beautiful hardback book. And it's got loads and loads of photographs in. But look, there's Chatsworth. Oh, look. Look at that. Isn't it fabulous? Oh, just love it. Oh, I want to live here. But the other thing that I really love about it is all the way through, someone else who works at Chatsworth, and her name is in there somewhere, has done all these beautiful illustrations on at the beginning of each chapter that kind of is something from that chapter. So like, look, can you see the first chapter? That's Christine going to work, because she lives in Enza. I mean, oh my goodness, which is the beautiful little village that we walked through, if you remember, when we were away on holiday.
8.
Yeah, we walked through Enza, and she lives there. So she drives to work every morning, and this is her drive to work, look, with deers and sheep, and there's Chatsworth. And all the way through, there's these beautiful illustrations. They're really well drawn. And look at this one. This one's all the women scrubbing the floor. That's all their bottoms, look. And I started reading it while we were away. Oh, look, and there's a postcard that Bryony picked up. You can stay in this. It's one of the Chatsworth holiday cottages. It's the hunting tower. It's right at the top. I'll show you where it is on this picture. Oh, it's just off the picture, but it's basically right up here. And it's the old hunting tower, and you can stay there.
Have you lost your place?
No, I wasn't in a place. I've just browsed reading it. You can stay in this, and we have thought about doing it, but the only issue is it's on like 4 floors. I think there's 2 here, 3, 4, and then you've got this tower bit. And there's only like 1 room on each floor, and 1 bedroom is way down here, and the other bedroom is way up here. And I didn't like the fact that Bryony would be down here and we'd be way up here. I just don't like 2 sets of stairs between us, really. So we never have, and it's also very expensive. It's one of the most expensive of the Chatsworth properties, but I mean, it's so fabulous. I digressed a little bit. So I started kind of just, when you get this sort of book, you just browse through it, and there's all these fabulous photos. There's the lady who did the illustrations. She's called Janet Britton, and she's deputy head housekeeper. So there's Christine, and there's the deputy, and she did the illustrations. Incredibly talented, and I just love them. And look at that! Look, they're making jam. Oh, I love them.
They're jamming.
Look, how cute is that?
Is that what?
No, canning.
Well, I thought canning was making
jam.
Is it?
Yeah, and preserving. Yeah.
All right.
Wow. Canning, it's called in America, isn't it? Because the Waltons are always on about canning.
I thought canning was like where you...
But there's no cans involved as far as I'm aware. It's like killing the jars. And look, they're going off playing golf. I could look at these pictures all day. Aren't they fabulous? I haven't fully read it yet. Like I said, there's Enza. There's the village. And Christine, the head housekeeper, lives in one of those houses. I mean, and it's part of... it's not their house, but they can just live there. It's part of their package, if you like. They don't do it anymore, but they used to house all their employees. And because she's worked there so long, she gets a house. And she's lived in a few different houses in Enza. And the one she lives in now, there's a picture of it in here. I'll see if I can find it quickly while we're just talking. But I think it's this one that she lives in now. I think she lives in this one now, but she's lived in that one. And that one. I mean, how beautiful are these houses? There are children, look, and they were little. So it's a fantastic book, and it just gives you loads of insights into how the house lived and survived, I suppose, over the years, and the way that things have changed over the 40 years. I just love it. So I don't know if it's available like on Amazon or anything like that, or if it's got one of those IBSN numbers. So that normally means, doesn't it, that it's in like the main libraries and things.
Well, you're going to be reading it, aren't you, for the next 2 or 3? So I
would have thought. So fabulous book. And if you're ever in Chatsworth, I would recommend that you get it. So there you go. Oh, that was a lot of talk about that. Dan Jones.
Yes.
What else is on your book?
You've got to speed the blooming changeovers up, woman. Crumbs. It was actually Sally, Kay's friend Sally, who made me pick this book up again.
She should have it by now.
I read this years and years ago, and actually I think there's a telling point. When I finished reading The Wall, which I've spoken about the last 2 episodes about the Hadrian's Wall, I should have picked Cold back up, the Ranulph Fiennes book, and I haven't. And I do feel slightly bad about that, because I don't ever really like to start anything and not finish it. And I will finish it, but I sort of wanted to read this more. I've read loads and loads about this period of history, Tudor history. Read all sorts of different authors, David Starkey, Philippa Gregory, Alison Weir, and definitely my favourite about the Tudor period is Antonia Fraser, who wrote this. Second favourite definitely is Alison Weir. They're all good, but this is the best, followed by Alison Weir. And I'm going to read it again. And I'm going to read it again because we're going to be talking about Tudors for the next 2 episodes after this one. So this will just help me brush up on some of the facts that are at the corners of my brain. The reason why I love this book is it is just really well written. It doesn't feel necessarily historical. What I mean by that is it's not hard to read. It's an easy read, and it makes the characters pretty vibrant. And one of the things about Henry VIII, I really associate with Henry VIII. I think it's the reason why I like Tudor history so much. You can sort of get the story. And we'll talk more and more about this over the next 2 episodes. But he was a really handsome, very vibrant king, and he was for many years. And it was only as he grew older and that he didn't produce an heir that the problems started. And I totally understand the pressure that was on monarchy back then to produce a male heir. And I totally get where his sort of brain was with regards to some of the things he did to try and ensure that he did have a male heir. And I mean, how crazy to think that he actually had, in his second marriage, granted, but he actually had an extremely successful, probably the most successful monarch the country's ever seen, in Elizabeth I. And she's there looking at him in the face, and he just didn't really acknowledge that. But it's a great book, and I'll talk more about this in the next couple of episodes. Just finishing off time, I think. Yeah,
handy bits. But we're nearing the end of both of the knit-alongs, and I looked at the diary, and we're next due to podcast. The next one will go out on the 1st of May.
Yeah.
So I thought if we recorded the day before, which is the 30th.
Right.
I mean, the two knit-alongs both end on the 30th. Now, normally that would be midnight on the 30th. But if I can end it first thing in the morning on the 30th, it means that I can draw for all the winners and we can let you know on that next podcast. Otherwise, it'll be another 2 weeks. And I'd rather just get it done. So just so you all know, I thought if I tell you now, then, you've still got 2 weeks to make sure that you finish your socks or your shawl. So then I'll close the thread at 9 a.m. on the 30th of April. That's 9 a.m. my time, British summer time. And then, like I said, we can draw for prizes and tell you the winners on the next podcast. So there's the Spring into Socks knit along.
Yes.
And we've got so many finished items. I think there's a couple of hundred. It's crazy. Loads and loads.
Gosh.
It's fantastic, the number of socks that have been knit. So thank you all so much. And I'll just quickly run through the prizes again, just so you all know. Because it's been a little while since I mentioned the prizes. So the first one was I made a bag in this lovely Japanesey fabric, if you remember. So there's a bag. We've got the Fibre Nymph Dye Works, and I've put badges with all these. The My Little Pony yarn. There's a pattern that's been donated from a viewer up to the value of $10.
Yeah, but that viewer, what's the word? Is
incognito.
Incognito. Who is it? Do you remember we spoke the other week?
She's incognito.
Do you remember we spoke the other week about how famous people perhaps were on Ravelry and using different names. Yeah, well, maybe it's Kate Middleton.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's Julia Roberts.
Maybe. I know who it is, obviously.
Yeah, when she speaks to Kay, she has a greyed out face and a garbled voice.
And whoever wins will know as well, because the pattern will get gifted by that person. But, And then last night I had a message from lovely Lee, who is Lou Lee on Ravelry, to say that she wanted to donate one of her bags. She's got an Etsy shop, and it's I wrote it down. It's Shop Lou Lee on Etsy.
Just has a podcast.
She also has a podcast. She's put 2 episodes out.
She's just bought a microphone.
She did. She bought I watched your last episode, Lee, and you bought a microphone and everything. And it's a lovely podcast. She's only put 2 episodes out, but you should go and watch her. I think it's just Lou Lee on Instagram. No, YouTube. There's too many things, isn't there? So there'll also be another bag. She's going to send it to me. So I'll show it you on the next podcast, whoever wins it. So there's 4 prizes there altogether. So again, that will finish. I will close the thread 9 a.m. my time, 30th of April. So you've still got 2 weeks to get your socks in there. And then there's the Messalina knit along that's still going on, and that will finish exactly the same time. And I think we've got about 15 finished items. Somebody chatted in that thread.
Oh.
Who do you think that was?
Do you know what? I cannot stand it when people... it couldn't be more obvious, could it? An FO thread. It's surely obvious, isn't it, that in there, if you post something, then when you draw for the winner, it's going to mess it up. You're going to have to redraw. Who was it?
Who was that person?
Who was it, honestly?
I can't imagine who it was. Who do you think it was?
Answers on a postcard, please.
So I think we've got 14 or 15
didn't I do that?
shawls.
No, hold on. I posted some... Didn't I post... a work in progress in an FO thread or another knit along.
You did something, yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
It might have been Denise.
Something.
I can't remember.
So the Messalina knit along. If you're knitting a shawl, don't forget to go and put it in that finished objects thread. And I've got a prize. When we were in, I wanted something local, and when we were in the Longwall sheep shop last week,
She decided that I would be the prize.
Yeah. Gosh, imagine how much it'd cost to post you.
Probably cheaper than a flight.
Probably.
Denise.
Gosh, Denise.
You should do that.
$2,000 for a flight.
You should post yourself.
No, you couldn't do that.
You'd freeze in the hold. It's not pressurised.
No, I think you'd probably not survive the trip, really.
No.
Not a good idea. I don't recommend you posting yourself. So I picked up a couple of skeins of yarn as the prize, and I got the DK weight because I thought, it's a shawl knit along, and I wanted some yarn. That water's boiling, my darling.
I'm going to go add some rice to our boiling water.
I wanted some yarn that could be used to knit a shawl if you wanted to. Obviously, you can knit whatever you want with this yarn. So I've got the DK weight, and the yardage is fantastic. It's 257 yards per skein. And I've got 2 for you and a badge. And the colourway, I looked it up, I think is called Fennel. And it's a beautiful... It's like seafoam green, maybe. Is that the right sort of colour? It's a really pretty blue, pale blue-green. I wanted a colour that I thought was neutral, but still a colour, if that makes sense. And I think, I can't think of anybody disliking this. So this will be the prize. So again, I will draw that on the 30th, and then we'll let you know on the next podcast who has won that. So thank you for putting knitting all your beautiful shawls and putting them, and some people again are knitting like the second one, which is fantastic. So thank you for that, and that's the prize for that. And look, I just noticed this. My crochet blanket, the border, I started a fresh ball for the border, and that's all I had left. I used almost a full skein doing that border. That's crazy, isn't it? So that's that. I'm going to tick that off. So that.
And I'm just going to take this moment to talk to you about bachelors. So we watched a programme yesterday. I can't stand, I don't know about you, and I don't know what it's like across the world, but for some reason in this country we seem to have a plethora of programmes that are talking to us about food. There's Jimmy's Food Factory, and
it's like, let's break this food down and see what's in it, see how bad it is for you.
All sorts of total tripe on the television, all about food. So last night we were watching, we caught about 2 minutes of a programme where they were cooking loads of ready meals.
Which we don't eat ready meals, do
we?
We?
The first thing they did was they got a group of people and they said, pour yourselves out some cornflakes. And the point
ridiculous.
The point they were trying to make was people naturally pour out more than the recommended serving. But at no point did they discuss the amount of calories in said cornflakes. I wonder how many calories there are in a cornflake.
There's not a lot of calories in cornflake. I mean, I know it's got added sugar. I mean, we have like natural sort of cereals, muesli and things like that. But
is that how desperate television's become?
Is
that we're now watching people pouring out cornflakes and then going, oh dear, you've poured out 30 grams.
The thing was as well, they were in a fire station. These people were firemen, right? Big beefy fellas, and they're criticising them for having a bowl of cornflakes.
You've eaten double recommended
You've
portion.
eaten 60 grams instead of 30 grams. Well, I'm sure they'll be burning off that.
Their next pearl of wisdom was how portion sizes have supposedly got bigger.
Yeah.
And how people
in things like ready meals.
Yeah. How they're demanding more. So, you could call this a ready meal.
Well, I suppose we have them occasionally, don't we?
Or part of a ready meal.
Yeah.
Now, I've just got these out of the cupboard and I was looking at the back just to make sure I put the right amount of water in. And it dawned on me.
I'm going to turn that down. It's too high.
That the amount of water that was required for one was different to the other. So that made me think, hold on a minute. The size of these has changed. So I thought, the TV programme must be correct. The TV programme said that supposedly portion sizes have got bigger. They're completely wrong. This one goes out of date in December 2016, and there are 100 grams in here. This one goes out of date on June 2016. There's 120 grams in here. So
it's reduced.
The portion size has dropped. Now,
we know the same. Well, the other thing they've done is one of them now said cooks in a quicker time or something, and that's the one that's reduced.
Yeah, that's because there's less in it.
And this one says it serves 2 to 3. This one just says 2, but yet they're the same. They were the same price.
Oh.
And also, let me tell you, a packet of crisps is not as big as it used to be. I'm sure crisps used to be 30 or 35. I think 35 grams. They're now like 28 grams. And there's hardly anything in a bag of crisps.
And also
bars of chocolate. Cadbury's chocolate is smaller.
Same price.
And it's all this like, we're doing it for the good of your health.
The caramels.
They're smaller.
The caramels, they've chipped away.
We said that you said that before. Yeah.
So we're proving the point that
we think things are smaller.
So you're talking total pig
think
swill.
It's absolute twaddle. And to be honest, I think I'm the judge of whether I should be eating that bag of crisps. I don't think it's for someone else to say, we're going to make it smaller so it's not as bad for you.
No, but they're not.
People
will
just eat 2 bags instead of 1.
They aren't saying that, are they? They're saying we're making it smaller so we make more money and charge you the same amount.
Well, that is, if they're saying, but what they've verbally saying is
the health
else,
thing is a total lie.
Well, I just wish people would leave people to be the judges of their own consuming amount, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of bugs, but anyway.
Anything else?
Totally digress. Yes, where did I get to? Right, I've done all that. I've done the prices. I sound like Denise going over what I've done. And then the only yarny purchase, the stuff was for the prizes. I said last time I'd ordered some of this and it was on back order. I was still waiting for one colourway, but I did get one colourway. And I got the one that's in 2 balls. I don't know why. Some are in 50-gram balls and some are in 100-gram balls. I don't know why they did that. Maybe it's a European thing as opposed to, I don't know. So I got the Arnie and Carlos. Oh, I can't turn. Oh, you know which one it is. So I got this colourway to do socks for Dan, and the one I got for me was like pinkies or purpley colours. So I got those. It's really soft. It feels somehow a bit softer than that last regia. Maybe it's not. So I got those. And is that everything?
I think it is.
Have we covered?
So.
No! Quickly! Oh my goodness! Very last thing is what I've been.
Well, that's not quite the last thing, but that's okay.
Oh right, okay. Well, I'll be quick then. My birthday's coming up next month, and I was chatting.
Nearly 50.
Gosh almighty, honestly. And you know the saga with the planner, and I said before that Sally wanted to get me one, and that Dan said it was a load of nonsense and wouldn't get me one, so Sally said, I'm going to get you one.
Well, no, prove me wrong, but there's no dispute that you're a person who does not like lists.
I don't like lists.
No, you don't like lists. Never in my life have I known you religiously use lists for things.
I've always used lists.
When?
When I was working in the bank, I did a to-do list every single day.
That might be the reason why you don't necessarily like them now.
I do make lists though. Anyway, I thought I made lists. So, me and Sally chatted as to the best way of me getting a planner, because she's obviously in the States and I'm over here. And I looked at various different online shops, Erin Condren is it, and a few others. And then she mentioned this one, which is Plum Paper Designs on Etsy. It's based in the States. I did keep one of the little cards somewhere. I tucked it in there. There it is. Plumpaper.com, but it's an Etsy shop. And I looked at these and I really loved them. You can customise it. I know you can some of the other ones as well, but what I liked most about it was you could start it on any month that you wanted. So rather than me miss 4 months of the year, I could start it in May, which is what I did. And I chose this lovely purpley colour because that's the colour I kind of really love. And Bryony loves this colour too. Got my name on it. And it's lovely in the Catholic, it is. I got extra notes. I got 2 lots of extra notes. So there's loads of note pages at the back. And I'll just quickly go through it. You've got all your months sectioned off, and then you can choose how you want the month to look. Did you hear a guffaw then from this side of the table? I think I did. So you get a spread of your month, first of all, like that. And then your actual week by week, you can choose what design of this you wanted. And I've gone for like morning, afternoon, evening, because that kind of suits me better with the way that I work. Stop laughing. I'm going to send you out of the room. Yeah, I'm totally going to send you. Seriously.
I'll stop.
You're going to be annoying so many people.
Sorry.
I want you to just tell him off for me because this is just not acceptable. Stop it. Right, do you not write notes on your iPad and use your iPad for everything?
Not anymore.
And you know that I don't like...
Not anymore, no.
Yeah, but that's what you used to do, all right?
No, that's true. And then you bought me that cool Star Wars book.
Right.
What did that cost? £20?
You know that I don't like using computerised devices
no, it's cool.
for things. You know I like to write things down with pen and paper.
Yeah.
Yet you're still laughing at me.
I'm not laughing at you.
I don't appreciate it.
Oh, honey.
So each month has those, and then at the beginning of each month you also get like June notes. So you've got each of the months.
So the bit I was laughing at, I just love the fact that it says this planner belongs.
I know. I put my name. Okay, James. And I've ordered. Sally was so generous with, the gift card that she sent me, and I had leftover money to buy some stickers. So I've ordered those from a UK shop actually.
Yeah.
And they should arrive. I'm hoping today.
Spending them was a challenge, wasn't it?
Oh gosh, I couldn't work it out because
I couldn't work it out.
I know I sounded. What did I sound then?
Don't
know. The gift card was obviously in dollars, but you can spend it in whatever you want. But you have to change your shopping preference to dollars basically, and then it just converts it to whichever shop you're buying it in. But at first, I'd got it set for £, and I couldn't understand why my gift card wasn't coming up. And then Dan said, we need to change it to dollars. So I did that, ordered the planner, no problem. And then I went back later to order some stickers, and I'm like, I can't find the gift card thing again. And I just spent ages. Because I thought I needed to change it back to £, because I was then going to buy from a British shop. That wasn't the case. I should have left it in dollars.
And you do yourself down slightly because I did not say to you in the first instance, you sorted it yourself in the first instance. You made it appear.
Right.
In the second instance, you explained to me the problem and I said you need to replicate the purchasing environment that you were in the first.
So I changed it back to dollars and then everything was fine and lovely and it just worked perfectly. So I've ordered the stickers. And
what would be cool is if you could have your face on there.
Oh, shush.
But no, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
So, and then, so you get all your monthly sections, and then I've got a huge big section at the back for notes, and I'm going to use that for all kinds of designy things and, all sorts. And then you have a My Contacts section, which I won't show you because I've written some names and addresses in there.
There's one.
Well, I've got them to write in.
It's the most important one, though. Yes, it's you, Sally.
Ice cream van, can you hear it?
Do you want an ice cream?
Just recently, we've had this ice at midday. Yeah, every day.
We think he's having a fling with someone on the estate.
Well,
or maybe
when's the last time? If you're in the UK, when's the last time you heard an ice cream van coming
Bryony
round?
saw the ice cream van parked at somewhere.
There's a house over here, and she's seen it parked on the drive. So we think he just thinks, I'll just
go for a spin.
Pop round the estate.
But no one ever goes out.
But it makes
it's the same every day.
It makes me want to 99 every day. And then you get a section for special dates all through the year. So far I've gone through and I've put all the birthdays in. I've put in all Bryony's holidays, all Bryony's sort of activities for school, our summer holidays, all things like that. And then the other thing that I like about this is I've got all the American holidays, which is great because, for things like when I'm doing updates and what have you, and I'll know when they are in America. And actually my birthday this year falls on Memorial Day. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Sally, I love it. And I do recommend this particular planner if you're thinking of getting one. And once I've got all my lovely stickers and things, I'll show you those, but love it. And I've had it, by the side of where I sit on the sofa, because what I've been doing is at night time, I always think, oh, right, tomorrow, what am I going to do? And then by the time tomorrow comes, I've forgotten. So I've been writing, when I think of something that I've got to do, I've been writing it in there, so I'm not forgetting. So it's got to be good.
Oh, there he is.
Can you hear it? You might not be able to hear it.
We're going to go get ourselves a 99.
99 flake.
Well, maybe not,
or a
because it's cold.
Screwball. I used to get a screwball. Can you remember those?
I do, yeah, the cone thingies with the
bubble gum
in the bottom. Yeah, they probably don't do those anymore for health and safety.
Probably don't, no, health
you
and
might
safety.
choke.
You might choke on that bubble gum. I put a picture of this on Instagram yesterday, but because we're doing the Tudory thing, and also our podcast anniversary is coming up next month, we thought it might be nice if I sewed up a few bags, for our anniversary and to tie in with the Tudor theme. So when we were in the fabric shop yesterday in town, we had a look around, didn't we? And you spotted a few things that were Tudor.
I was involved with all of it.
You were. So I've got a Henry VIII inspired bag that'll be coming up. This on the outside, roses, because that's like Tudor, isn't it? Tudor rose on the inside. And we thought red and gold was very, I can imagine him with what were they called? Doublets? Those sort of things that they wore. I can imagine Henry VIII wearing that. And then I wanted a Anne Boleyn or Jane Seymour or whoever is your favourite queen. And I've got some, this is Tilda fabric.
Well, you should stick with what you said, and it's an Anne Boleyn inspired bag. At the end of the
Anne
day,
Boleyn and Henry VIII.
she is the mother of the most
that's true.
famous queen that this country's ever had.
Yeah, that's true. So this is Tilda fabric, and I've been wanting to sew with some Tilda fabric forever. And I thought I could imagine a lady, wearing a dress made out of that in Tudor times. So there'll be some bags in this and some in the Henry VIII. See, which I think is May the 8th, did you say? It's a pity it's not May the 4th.
Be with you.
Yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, maybe they'll do something on that day as well. So by the time you see this, the tread will already be out, so I will have already have combusted. I wept when the last one came out.
You did, it's true.
Because it was so cool.
Yeah, you did.
So that's the end of episode 23. Yes?
Yes, that's the end of that's everything I've got to say.
So let's keep the handbrake on, cancer people.
Yay.
£650 we're at right now, and we're aiming for £1,000 by the next episode, so hopefully we'll get there. And that doesn't mean all of you need to buy loads and loads more. We just need to spread the word, Spread the word so more and more people see it and get inspired to get involved. It's been great to see some people actually engaging who aren't knitters, who are going to, as a good friend of mine,
I said to you
the girl who taught me to play taiko, which you guys all know is one of my favourite types of drumming, she doesn't know how to knit. She's bought the pattern, she's going to knit it. Similarly, a friend of hers then is going to, and it's that type of sharing that then really gets it out there, which is really what we want. So thank you so much for all so far, but let's push on and get to 1,000, and we'll see you in episode 24 for an update. See you then.